Good morning. This is Jack from Charging the Markets Crypto, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 24th of February. My disclaimer: I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to issue trading signals. Right. Okay, let's have a look at Solana first, because that was the most interesting last week. Now, that was the most interesting because we were seeing some fairly interesting stuff happen on the on altcoins. And personally, I didn't think that was big news. However, I am thinking we may see more upside. We have seen a retest of this low here at 160.83. We've got a potential level bottom here. We've got a possible RSI 5 buy signal brewing and a very weak possible RSI 14 buy signal brewing. We could be seeing a low in this area. I don't want to rule that out in the slightest. We could see that. We've got a 60-minute RSI 14 buy signal fix. We've got an RSI 5 buy signal fixed. I'm quite liking a little rally here, actually. I am thinking this is a possible wedge. It's not great. But my concern is that crypto and equities, this has obviously been moving ahead of equities by basically a month. And it could be that it'll bottom out significantly earlier too. But I think equities, we're liable to see more downside here. And actually, a lot of the time, crypto would go down in sympathy with it. It's hard to rule out the possibility that's going to happen here. We will see how that goes, but certainly that is something to be concerned about. It's I think in terms of the pattern here, potential double bottom or part formed IHS, I think we could well see a rally here, but the rally for this pattern would only get us back up into about the 168 area. I like this double bottom here. That's not bad. Sustained break up over 181. But remember, this IHS here, we had a target up here in the 180/181 area, and we basically got up, made it, failed. I'm a little concerned about the weakness there, but we've got a nice looking double bottom here. Sustained break up over 180.55. And we're looking at a target in the 200 to 205 area, and that's an attractive target because that's where the news, basically, the altcoin news, was basically sending this down to 160.83. Personally, I think the news was just fluff. I don't think it really matters what happens on the altcoins. There's always going to be frauds on the meme coins, and they only launched on Solana because it's the best network. So I think that's fluff, and I think we might well see a return back to this. And if we're going to see that, the obvious time to see that would be in the next day or two, while we're seeing a rally on equities, or at least there's a decent chance we're going to. Bitcoin, we've still got, I would note, an RSI 14 sell signal fix and an RSI 5 and RSI 14 sell signal fixed on the weekly. Those haven't made target, and there's a pretty good chance they're going to, historically. So again, that has me leaning towards further downside. Doesn't mean we can't see a short-term bounce, but afterwards, that's not particularly encouraging. On the alley chart, I am wondering about this potentially as a bullish triangle forming, but at the moment the trend lines aren't great. Don't need to be great. They're only great on a classical triangle. A fair number of triangles aren't classical. But we haven't got an awful lot really suggesting much upside here on Bitcoin. Solana's the best, but that's because it was the main one that had a decent decline last week. Ethereum, no current divergence here because obviously, Ethereum and Solana haven't been looking this. Ethereum and Bitcoin haven't been looking the same as Solana at all. I'm still leaning towards this being a rally before a retest of the lows. I'm not seeing anything compelling to contradict that so far. No obvious pattern from the low here. Although I would say that we did have this head and shoulders here, and I'd mentioned that, and I'd said it still had an open target, and we pretty much made that target. Almost, not quite, but almost. So I'm inclined to call that. In the short term, we do have a 15-minute buy signal fixed here, so we've got some positive divergence. And as I said, I'm leaning towards seeing a rally with equities today, maybe tomorrow, possibly the next day. But after that, I'm expecting to see some more downside on both. And I could be mistaken about that, but unless I'm mistaken about that, it's hard to see a huge amount of upside happening on crypto. Solana could get a decent bounce here just because it had really a move down, which frankly was for nothing. It's in my view. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm leaning towards seeing at least some rally here. But if we get back to 205, I'd be wondering about selling again. We shall see. All right, great. In that case, that's a wrap. Let's have a quick look at questions. If the US dollar is going to rise, then these may well go down if the dollar rises. And really, I'm leaning towards the dollar rising. I'm leaning towards seeing more downside here. I was talking about when I was talking late last year about seeing both equities and crypto having a weak first half of 2025. I wasn't talking about a decline that could take us into mid-February or late February. I was talking about a decline that would last, another few weeks from here. That decline, we've seen part of it, but I don't think we've seen all of it. I think we've probably got more downside to go. We've got some more downside targets. I was looking at those in my last posts on Thursday or Friday. Friday, I think, probably Thursday actually. And I'm leaning towards it. I'm leaning towards it heading down. What do you think has more directional effect on Bitcoin? I think SPX does. Looking historically, yeah, definitely. And one thing to remember is the dollar's been. You're talking about wouldn't the dollar, if the dollar rises, wouldn't these go down? What's the dollar been doing the last few weeks? It's been dropping. And actually, wait a second. Let's have a quick look at that. Okay, this is the Bitcoin daily. I've got that against Apple at the moment. Let's have a look at it against the dollar. All right, let's have a look. All right, the dollar has been dropping with crypto for most of the last few weeks. We had this here. The dollar started dropping and crypto started going. We make a new high, but then the dollar continues to drop. Does a bit of a rally. And that's because these things tend to rhyme. But what we've got is an overall downtrend since then on crypto, and we've got an overall downtrend on US dollar. I think SPX is more important. I think, having said that, I think crypto is its own animal. But I think what happens on equities is pretty important and is more important than what happens on the dollar. So we shall see. All right, great. In that case, I think that's a wrap. I'll catch everyone tomorrow, and I think we're going to have a fun week. That's anyway. One thing to remember on equities, particularly, but also it affects crypto, is that we've got a historically bearish week this week, and Friday is one of the more bearish days of the year. So we will see how that goes this week. I'm leaning towards that delivering some downside on equities. It may well see some downside delivered on crypto as well. All right, cheers, mate. Catch you tomorrow.